In the small village of Sonapur, nestled beside a sparkling river, there stood a very, very old banyan tree. Oh, it was a magnificent tree indeed. Its branches spread out wide like strong arms, and its long hanging roots touched the ground, looking like many thin legs. The children of Sonapur loved to play hide and seek amongst its roots, and the old folks would sit in its cool shade telling stories from long ago. But this tree was not just any tree, it held a secret. Every full moon night, when the moon shone like a big silver coin in the dark sky, the tree would whisper. Yes, truly whisper. The whispers were soft, like the rustling of silk saris or the gentle murmur of the nearby river. Some villagers said it was just the wind playing tricks, sighing through the leaves. Others, the more superstitious ones, would shiver and say, "Ayo, it is the tree spirits talking." They would hurry past, their hearts going thump, thump in their chests, especially on those bright full moon nights. No one dared to go too close when the whispers began. They would finish their chores early, eat their dal and roti quickly, and bolt their doors tight, leaving the old banyan tree to its mysterious nighttime conversations. The children were often warned by their mothers. Don't you go near that banyan after sunset, especially when the moon is round. You never know what might be listening or what might call out to you, so they played their games of gilli-danda and cocoa in the bright sunshine, far from the tree when dusk began to settle. The whispers became a part of Sonapur's village lore, a spooky little tale told to keep naughty children in check. But the tree just stood there, grand and silent by day, only to begin its soft, eerie murmuring when the full moon climbed high into the inky heavens. Little Meera, however, was different from the other children. She wasn't scared. Oh no, not Meera. She was full of curiosity, a little spark of wonder always shining in her big dark eyes. While others hurried away, Meera would often pause by her window, her small face pressed against the cool glass, trying to hear what the banyan tree was saying. It doesn't sound angry, she would think. It sounds sad, like someone needs a friend. This thought puzzled her, and the mystery of the whispering tree grew bigger and bigger in her young, inquisitive mind each passing month. She felt a pull towards it, a strange connection she couldn't quite explain. One warm night, the moon was exceptionally large and bright, casting silvery shadows all over Sonapur. The banyan tree's whispers seemed louder than ever before, almost like a soft song carried on the gentle night breeze. Meera lay in her small cot, listening. Her parents were fast asleep in the next room. She could hear her Baba's gentle snores. I must find out, Meera decided, her heart beating a little faster, not with fear, but with excitement. I must know what the tree is trying to say. Quietly, oh so quietly, Meera slipped out of her bed. Her bare feet made no sound on the cool mud floor of her little hut. She tiptoed past her sleeping parents, her breath held tight in her chest. She unlatched the wooden door, which gave a tiny creak. Eek! Meera froze, her eyes wide, but her parents didn't stir. Phew! With a sigh of relief, she slipped outside into the moonlit night. The air was cool and smelled of jasmine flowers from her amma's small garden. The village was silent except for the chirping of crickets and, of course, the persistent beckoning whispers from the grand old banyan tree. As Meera walked towards the banyan tree, her small shadow danced ahead of her. The tree looked enormous in the moonlight, its leaves shimmering like silver. The whispers grew clearer now. They weren't just sounds, they were like soft words, too faint to understand properly, but filled with a deep, echoing sadness that tugged at Meera's kind heart. "Hello," she whispered back, her voice tiny against the vastness of the night. "Is someone there? Are you all right, dear tree?" She wasn't sure if she was talking to the tree or to whatever made the sounds, but it felt right to ask. She reached the edge of the tree's vast canopy, stepping under its sprawling branches. It was like entering a different world, a hushed, secret place. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, creating patterns on the ground that looked like magical writings. The whispers seemed to come from the very trunk of the tree, a deep, ancient sound, almost like a sigh. Meera placed her small hand on the rough bark. It felt surprisingly warm and vibrated faintly, as if the tree itself had a giant, slow heartbeat. "Don't be sad," she murmured. "I am here to listen. Please, tell me what is wrong." As Meera spoke her gentle words, one of the whispers became clearer, as if her kindness had untangled the sound. "Help me." A soft, ethereal voice sighed, seeming to come from deep within the ancient wood. "Trapped so long by a forgotten curse." Meera gasped, her eyes wide with astonishment. It was a real voice, a very gentle, very old voice, tinged with an immense sorrow that made her own heart ache in sympathy. It wasn't scary at all, just incredibly sad, like a lost child. "Who are you?" Meera asked bravely, her voice trembling only a little. "How can I help you?" "Look closely at the oldest root, where the moonlight doesn't touch, a hidden way. Meera, her curiosity now a burning flame, peered around the massive trunk. The banyan had so many roots, thick and gnarled, twisting into the earth like giant serpents. She searched carefully, her fingers tracing the rough bark, pushing aside fallen leaves and small pebbles. It was quite dark at the base of the trunk, where the moonlight struggled to reach through the dense canopy of leaves. She had to feel her way, her small hands exploring every nook and cranny. Then her fingers touched something different. Not rough bark, but smooth, cool stone, cleverly disguised to look like part of the tree. "Is this it?" she whispered. As she pressed gently, a section of the root, no bigger than a small window, seemed to shimmer, and then, with a soft grinding sound, it slid inwards, revealing a dark opening. The locket was old and tarnished, but Meera could see intricate carvings on its surface. It pulsed with a faint dark energy that felt cold to the touch. "This locket holds the curse?" Meera asked, her gaze fixed upon it. The spirit nodded, its form flickering. "Break it, and I shall be free." The forest too. Meera picked up the locket. It was heavier than it looked. She wondered how to break it, remembering stories her grandmother told of how goodness could break evil spells. She held the locket tightly and thought of all the happy things in her village. Her amma's smile, the taste of sweet jalebis, the laughter of children playing. She closed her eyes and wished with all her might for the spirit to be free, for the sadness to end. As she did, a warm feeling spread from her heart down her arms and into her hands. The locket in her grasp began to glow, not with dark energy, but with a bright, pure light. Then with a soft crack, like a twig snapping, the locket broke into 2 pieces in her hands. The dark energy vanished like smoke, and the spirit let out a joyful cry, a sound like wind chimes. "Free! Free at last!" it sang, its form becoming brighter and clearer, no longer translucent but radiant. As the spirit became fully radiant, it rose upwards, phasing through the top of the chamber and the tree itself, ascending into the night sky like a brilliant shooting star before disappearing with a final, joyful shimmer. Instantly, a wave of warmth and light spread from the banyan tree. All around the banyan and spreading into the nearby parts of the forest, flowers began to bloom in vibrant colors, even in the moonlight. When dawn broke, the villagers of Sonapur awoke to a wondrous sight. The old banyan tree looked more magnificent than ever, and the forest around it was transformed into a paradise of flowers and lush greenery. They found Meera sleeping peacefully at the foot of the banyan tree, a broken locket beside her. When she told her tale, they were amazed. From that day on, the banyan was known as the wishing tree, and Meera was hailed as a hero. Her courage and curiosity had not only saved a spirit, but had also brought untold beauty and joy to her village.